whatever your agency name is. And then under program, you'll have some more information. So some of the agencies I know have multiple different programs. Usually we organize by program name. So if you ever have a question on something specific, like for this specific program, this isn't working, try to include that information when you reach out to us, just so that we can help you as soon as possible. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and click on the agency. That takes me to the admin info tab. You can tell which tab you're on based on the part of the navigation bar that's in this blue color. You scroll down. These are text boxes you can type directly into or copy and paste into. Pretty straightforward stuff. Making sure that all of this information gets updated. Like if you have, again, staff changes, we do recommend coming in here and updating things. And then if you have any documents, we recommend, if you have it, just upload it so it's all in one place for you. I'll click Upload New Liability Policy. All of the uploads work the same. So down here where it says Upload New Document, this is for San Mateo County. I'm going to choose File. I have a test upload. It's just like when you attach something to an email. So you have that pop-up window. I'm going to put the expiration date and then Upload Document. And then you see that it gets uploaded up here. If you've been using CDS for a while and you have old liability policies that have been expired, you can just go ahead and click remove and that gets rid of them. Just like that. Or if you have other documents that you want to upload, you can just attach those here. And go ahead and go back to the admin info tab. So like I said, if you have it, go ahead and upload it. I think it's nice just to have everything in one place. Once you've made your changes, click Submit Data. That's our version of Save. Click that, and it saves. So that's really it for that page. It's just making sure that all the contact information is updated and correct, just to make it easy for your team going forward, because all this information gets carried forward between fiscal years. So let's say you applied for a program in 22-23. This will all be set up for you in 23-24, so to speak. So you won't have to redo this every single year, I promise. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Reports tab. So the Reports tab is where the majority of your work is going to be done. And again, we have the instructional videos. We also have a green Help with this page button located on all of our pages with information and instructions specific to the page that you are on. Scrolling down. The most important thing that you should do first is this contract information doc. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. So you come in here, typing in the goals. So however many case clients, I just put 20 because it's a nice round number. Our goal is to help people. And then your budget. So this budget is really important. Whatever you put into this budget table is what's going to show up on your expense summary and on the request for reimbursement. So if it's not on here, you're either going to need to do a budget revision, which is something that we'll talk about later, or it's not going to be available for you to charge against. So let's say I put manager as a staff position, but I also should have put director. I would need to contact San Mateo County, ask them if it's okay that we do a budget revision. They say yes or no. If they say yes, San Mateo County initiates the budget revision. And like I said, we'll get into that. But for now, just know that the most important thing about this contract information doc is making sure that your budget is set up exactly the way that you want it to be set up for the whole fiscal year. Once this is established, this budget table, and submitted, we don't want to come in and make changes to it. The only way to update it would be through a budget revision, which is a separate document. So just super, super important. That's kind of one of the number one things that we get questions on is there's no line item for director. Well, it's because you didn't assign it any funds. That's why. So that's kind of our number one question when it comes to expense summaries and the budget table. Alrighty, so I'm going to go back. So I turned this in just, to submit it. When things get bounced back to you. Like I know one of the questions was, what happens if San Mateo County rejects our report? You get an email, or whoever's assigned as the manager, the program manager gets an email notification saying that San Mateo County has rejected your contract information doc, and then there's usually a section that says why. So when San Mateo County sets it back to draft for you, they'll write in the little comment box, you're missing your whole entire budget, or you didn't put anything in for the goals, or you need to be more specific, something like that. So that tells you you need to come back in, make those changes, and then resubmit it. Alrighty. Sorry, I'm just going to check the chat and make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, cool. Great. So, like I said, contract information is the most important thing because that establishes what you're going to be doing for your goals in your quarterly progress report and your budget for the expense summary. I'm going to take a look at the quarterly progress report right here. Go ahead and click on click to complete. Okay. So this top table, you can't type directly into. This is calculated based on what you enter into these tables down here. That's another big question that we get. Like, why can't, there's no text box up here? It's because it gets calculated from the information down here. So as you are going through, just show you what that looks like. There are 3 people based on their income data and race and ethnicity data. Oops. Okay. Another question that we get for the quarterly progress report is, why can't I submit? It's saying that my numbers don't match. And what happens is that the income data table number, this one down here, and the race and ethnicity data table, this number down here, those need to match in order for it to get reported to HUD, depending on the program. If you have a presumed beneficiary, you don't have these tables in your quarterly progress report. A majority of the programs do not have presumed beneficiaries, so you will have these tables, and you need to make sure that you're collecting the income and race and ethnicity data for every person that you serve if you want them to be counted. Okay, and then see up here, now that I have 3, it updates the table up at the top. Okay, scrolling down. If you have this information, again, I do recommend putting it in. Same thing with this table, all of these different locations. Try to be as detailed as possible just so that you can show San Mateo County all the good that you're doing and you get credit for it. Down here is the narrative section. You can type directly into it or copy and paste into it. You do have a character limit. Don't write San Mateo County a novel, but do try to give them some information on all of the good that you guys are doing.
Kirsten,
Oops, go ahead.
I'm sorry, just really quick. For these sections, the narrative sections, the county just wants to make our partners and subgrantees aware that we do really review this information. And so this is an opportunity where agencies and program staff can share any trends that they're seeing in the program activities that they're engaging in, any challenges that they're facing, any support that they may need. This right here is what we'll review and reach out and make sure there's follow-up as well. And then additionally, I believe it's box, one of the upper ones where the client story can be added for each quarter. And so we just want to make everyone aware that internally we do start our meetings with a story to really ground our work and really highlight the great work that you all are doing as well. So we do really love those stories and want to see kind of what's been going on within the program, and that's kind of just a quick little bit of those for those sections. Thank you, Kirsten.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think these are really good opportunities to highlight all of the good that you guys are doing and just really communicate with San Mateo County so that you guys are all on the same page. So try to be detailed. Again, I do recommend filling out all of this stuff just so that you can keep track of who you're helping and San Mateo County knows who you're helping. I think just the more data that you can provide, the better. But I know you also all have a lot on your plates. So just know that this is a resource for you. Down at the bottom, there's the opportunity to upload documents. So if you have things like sign-in sheets or anything else that you wanted to include, you can do that. So you click on upload. It's the exact same thing as it was previously. Pop-up window, test upload, upload document. And then you click return to QPR, quarterly progress report, and then you'll see it listed down at the bottom. If you are working on this and you want to come back to it later, you would just click save it as a draft. The system does automatically log you out after a period of inactivity. I believe it's an hour and a half, but I recommend anytime you step away from your computer, like if you get a phone call or if you get pulled into a meeting, just go ahead and click save it as a draft so that you don't lose any of your work. If you're ready to turn it in, you would click I certify that this report is true, type your name here, submit report. For now, I'm going to go ahead and save it as a draft, and that'll take me back to the reports page. I do think that there was a question on what the reinitialize report button does. You don't really have to worry about that at all. That's really more for San Mateo County and CDS staff. So if you were to ever ask San Mateo County if you could update your goals, like for now, I just left the goal really vague. We can update the goals in the contract info doc. Come in here, click reinitialize, and it'll show all of the beautiful detailed goals that you want to include. So that's it. You don't really have to do anything for it right now. Staff is kind of the ones that take care of it. Usually it's CDS staff that does it for you. Nothing really for the agencies to worry about. Alrighty. Let's take a look at this expense summary. Go ahead and click on click to complete. Again, we do have the help with this page button that is available for you. And like I said earlier, the personnel information and all of the budget line items are pulled from the contract information doc. So you really want to make sure that that budget table is correct. I did have one personnel line item, which was manager. So I'm going to go up to manage staff list up in this upper right-hand corner. I'm going to click add new. Now, if you've been in CDS before and you've worked with us for many years, you can click import staff from the previous fiscal year. So you don't have to re-enter all of your staff people every single year. You just pull it over, update things as needed, but for the most part, you just have to click that. But since this is a new test program, I'm going to show you guys how to do it from kind of the ground up. So I'm just going to click add new. His name's going to be John Doe. And he's going to be the manager. So again, these drop-down items for position are pulled from the budget in the contract source doc. Hourly wage, let's just say 50. It's a nice round number. Submit data. And I see his name, position, hourly wage. If I ever wanted to add new, I would just click add new, or let's say I typed in the wage incorrectly, I could click edit. In this bright red note, don't remove staff from the list if you've already charged against them in the current fiscal year. So let's say in Q1, I listed John Doe in the expense report, but in Q2, for whatever reason, he left and I wanted to take him off this list. I would need to leave him on here because that would just mess up how the expenses were being calculated. So even if someone leaves the organization, leave them on this list for at least that fiscal year. In the next fiscal year, you can take them out, but try not to switch people in and out in the middle of a fiscal year. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and click return to expense report. Anytime you see these pastel green boxes, that's your opportunity to customize the number of lines you want. Let's say I wanted 2. Click outside of it or hit enter on your keyboard. And now in this drop down, I have John Doe, so I'm going to click on him. We have his position automatically filled in, his hourly rate, and the remaining budget. So like I said, this budget information is from the budget table in the contract source doc. If you get anything out of this training today, it is that the budget table in the contract source doc is super, super important. So that's my main goal, is that we all walk away from this training with that in our brains. Alrighty, so for hours charged to San Mateo County, I'm going to say 10. Nope. Okay, 10. And then that calculates the CDBG cost. From that, it also deducts the money and updates the remaining budget column. Scrolling down, again, I have the opportunity to change the number of lines. For the operating expenses, I only had 2. I'm going to put supplies. You can see over here the remaining budget. I'm going to put the amount, let's say 500, and that updates it here. So I'm asking for 500 for personnel, 500 for supplies. That updates this table down here. Total expenses claimed for reimbursement for this specific month, and then my total remaining budget. Again, you have the opportunity to upload documents. If you have receipts or invoices, you can do that. Type in your email, click I certify. This whole thing just got recently updated because HUD updated their requirements. You type your name in here, click submit report to San Mateo County. Again, if you want to come work on this later, like you start on it and you get pulled into a meeting, just go ahead and click save it as a draft. So all of the data entry for your expenses is done on this expense summary. After you do that, you do need to do the request for reimbursement. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. All you need to do on this is click import values. So I'm going to click import values. That pulls over the information from the expense summary. So we see the 500 that I requested for the manager and the 500 that I requested for the supplies. There is no data entry that is done on here other than putting in your name, email, title. That's it. These are blank just because they weren't put in on the admin info tab. So I do recommend doing that first because that'll pull over that information. So if anything on here doesn't look right, or if you realize, oh, I actually also wanted to do 500 for materials, you would need to save as a draft here, go back into the expense summary. Let's add another line. Click materials, add 500. That updates all of this info. Save it as a draft. Go back into the request for reimbursement and click import values. So now it updates to reflect the changes that I made on the expense summary. So there's no real data entry done on the request for reimbursement. It is just fancy formatting, pulling the information from the expense summary into this neat little table. So all you really have to do is click import values. Same thing, typing your name, title, email, submitting report. For now, I'm going to save it as a draft. Any questions on any of that before I move on? That's kind of the 3 basic reports that you're going to be doing for or within CDS is your quarterly progress report, your expense summary, and your request for reimbursement. Any questions on that?
See, no questions right now.
Okay, great. Alrighty, perfect. Then let me stop sharing for a quick second and I'll show you guys what a budget revision looks like, but I got to turn one on for this report. It's really important when you guys are working in CDS to do things in order chronologically. If you try to do your expense summary out of order, it's going to mess up how everything is calculated, mainly because we have that running tab of your remaining balance or your remaining budget. So if you do things out of order, that gets messed up and then it causes a whole host of problems. And we also recognize that things happen and you sometimes do have to go out of order because you messed up one in April, but you're already working on May. If that happens, just let us know. We have ways to work around it, but for the most part, when you're first starting on putting that information in, do try to keep it in order, just to make it easier for you, make it easier for the county, and keep all of our data as accurate as possible. Okay. Sorry, I had to log in as staff to turn on that budget revision. So like I said, if you ever need to move money around or if you wanted to add a line item, contact the county. They're the ones who make all of those decisions. We just help with the software implementation of it. We're not responsible for any of those choices. And the staff at the county will either say yes or no, and then they will turn on the budget revision for you. Okay. Great. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Okay, perfect. So when I went and logged in as staff, I turned on the budget revision. It's on the reports tab. Like I said, only county staff can do it. The agency can't turn it on. But once staff does turn on the report, the agency can come in and work on it, move the money around, make the request. We go ahead and click on click to complete. So here we see our original approved budget. So this is the budget that's in the contract information doc. And we can make adjustments, and we can also add a blank budget line. Like I said, make sure that San Mateo County is okay with this, but let's say if I wanted to add a new personnel item, could you add blank budget line? We'll say director. It's a personnel expense. Click done. Okay, so currently it has 0 money in it because it's new. So I'm going to take some money out of, let's do manager. So if you want to take money out of a line item, you put the minus sign in front. I'm going to say let's take out 5,000. 1, 2, 3. Great. And then in the director, the new line item that I want to add funds to, I'd put 5,000. Great. So my revised budget total is the same as it was originally, but the actual amounts has changed. So this went from 15,000 to 10,000. This went from 0 to 5,000. I do recommend putting in notes if you wanted to explain why you had to make these changes, or sometimes what happens is we have to spend more money than expected on supplies. So that's a common one that we see. Just explaining, why this happened and why it needs to get done to the county so that, again, you're all on the same page. Then you fill out these questions, yes or no, if it's going to change the clients or change priority or, result in a decrease of services. Most of the time, these are all no's. It's just internal moving money around. But I do recommend, again, being as detailed as possible. Again, these are text boxes you can type directly into or copy and paste into if you worked on a Word document. Again, explaining why money needs to be moved around. Most of the time, it's just you had unexpected expenses and you need to move money from one line item to another. But again, just let the county know what's going on so that they can best support you. Again, at the bottom, we have our save as draft option. If you are working on this and want to come back to it later, or if you're ready to turn it in, you would click this box here, name, title, submit. Now I'm going to save it as a draft. And then if we go back into it, if you have multiple new line items, you do need to save it as a draft between adding blank budget lines. So like earlier I did director, and now if I wanted to add a new one, I could. The reason being is that if you try to add multiple all at once, it messes up with the calculations, which is coding detail that you guys don't really need to know about. But in summary, you do one new line item at a time, and you just save it as a draft and then come back in to add an additional blank line item as needed. That's pretty much it for the budget revision. You do need to make sure that you're opening it on the right fiscal year. So if the contract information is for FY23, the budget revision and the expense summary and the request for reimbursement should all be opened on FY23, which is up here. I know some of the programs have been doing this for multiple years. The budget revision will always be on the same fiscal year as the contract information doc and should be opened in that fiscal year. The expense summary and the request for reimbursement should be opened in the fiscal year that you're requesting money for. If you try to go back fiscal years, things get weird. Let's see if this gives me, okay. Let's see. Okay. Nope. All right. Usually it will give you like an error message to let you know that you're in the wrong fiscal year. If you ever get that, just confirm the fiscal year that you're in. You can change it by clicking these. Again, if you're new, you've never used CDS before, you don't have to worry about your fiscal years. But if you've been with us for a while, I'm sure you already know the importance of keeping track of whatever fiscal year you're working in. And whatever is in this highlighted yellow is the fiscal year that you're in. So those are pretty much it. The budget revision is a less common report, but it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, the most important one to do first is your contract information. From there, you have the quarterly progress report, the expense summary, and the request for reimbursement. And then the budget revision is as needed and needs prior approval from the county. Any questions on that? I'm not seeing any hands raised. I'm not seeing anything in the chat, I don't think. Nope. Okay, hand raised. Go ahead.
Hi, Kirsten. How you doing? It's Elazar. I just wanted to be clear, like when you do a budget revision, that will show up on the original year that the contract was created, correct? Not the amendment year.
Yes.
All right,
Yes, the
great.
original year. Good question. Any other questions on that? Give people a little bit of time. While you're thinking of questions, if anything comes up, like as soon as we hop off this call, you're like, oh my gosh, I should have asked this. You can always just send us an email. Like I said at the beginning of our training, the best way to get, oh, perfect, thank you. That is the best email to get a hold of us for any questions on the software. If you have questions about content, that is for the county, but always feel free to reach out and we can let you know if we can help you or if it's a question best answered by your county contact.
Yeah, sorry, my camera is not working. Thank you so much, Kirsten, for the content and walking through the quarterly report and the variety of functions on the CDS platform, and also highlighting the fiscal year as well, because I know kind of gets lost at the very top, but very important to ensure you're working in the correct fiscal year. At this moment, is there any questions from any of the participants? Definitely want to provide that space. If there's anything maybe that we need to go over again or anything like that, please feel free to raise your hand or type in the chat. Great. I don't see anything coming in. Okay. So I think we're all good. This training was recorded, and so it'll be a couple of weeks and we'll process this and make sure that you will all receive the recording and have this for your own resources as well. But that email, support at City Data Services, is the best way to contact CDS. And they are very prompt with their responses and will definitely help out with anything that comes up. And again, your specialist can also support with any CDS kind of issue that is going on through the platform as well. And we can connect with CDS with any issue that arises. Any other questions before we end the session for today? I think we're all good. Again, thank you, Kirsten, and the CDS team for putting this together and walking us through the platform. Really appreciate it. And thank you all to the participants for being here and joining us today as well. And that should be all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone. Have a good one.